Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We got a great show for you today. Coach Spurrier is going to join us as he does on Mondays, and we always look forward to what he says, especially Florida-Tennessee week. I think you know he's got a special connection there. Also, we're going to be joined a little bit later by Minde O'Sullivan, Kevin O'Sullivan's wife, who has a foundation that she's going to present and talk about, and she'll do yes, no, or maybe. So no Robbie Andrew. I'm sorry. We're going to get a much better looking version of Robbie Andrew, which would be any version of Robbie Andrew. So let's get to our process. Oh, by the way, Thursday, Andy Staples is going to join us. We'll be doing it from the Hacienda, the Dooley Dome. So we'll be doing the show from there. So that'll be Thursday's show. And then look forward to seeing what Andy's got to say about all the stuff that's going on, what he thinks about this weekend, and what is going on all over the country in college football. It's just crazy right now. Let's get to our process service of Gainesville starting 5. And let's start with number 1, which was it was a feel-good night Saturday night. I've written that before because sometimes you just need to win a game and win it easily, and the crowd be able to sit back and kind of enjoy it and just not feel a lot of pressure. And you can play a lot of guys, and guys can say, man, did you see me? I was on the field at the Swamp. That's the kind of day it was. But it wasn't just that. It was that they were able to get rid of some of the dumb penalties. There were a couple, but some of them were late. I mean, they only had 4, I think, in the whole game. That they were able to get the running game going. They were able to get a lot of guys in the game, but also have their stars do well. You know, certainly the running game with ETN had an unbelievable game. Obviously, Montrell Johnson had a great game. You know, Trayon Webb got in there and did a good thing. Eddie Battle fumbled at the 8. Other than that, he played. No, but I mean, you got all these guys in the game, and you were able to play them. And you did not have one moment where there were more than one guy on the field with the same number. That right there was a huge win for the Gators. The bottom line is they played a pretty clean game. They didn't punt till the 4th quarter, and that was only because the 3rd team was in. Let me tell you what. McNeese is not very good. Here's a weird thing to me. McNeese, on its website, says it's McNeese State. I kept getting corrected by people this week from UF saying, no, it's McNeese, not McNeese State. And yet, the ESPN people kept calling it McNeese State. I don't know what it is. I don't have to worry about them probably ever again. But McNeese, whatever they were, they did not do well. And you got to win. That's the biggest thing you did. You got to win that you needed. This is a program that lost 4 straight games. None of them were in Gainesville. Don't forget, you lost at Vanderbilt, which is unforgivable. You lost at FSU, which never like to do. You lost in a bowl game that you didn't show up for. And you lost to Utah on the road. Now you're back at home. You got your feet underneath you. I think it bodes well for the Tennessee game. I'm not saying Florida's going to win. I'll let you know what my pick is going to be later. But it was a good night for the Gators, no doubt about it. Number 2, Ricky Pearsall, and this is something that I brought up, and I'm the only person who probably thought of this. Maybe other people did. I don't read everybody. But I think Ricky Pearsall has a real shot at breaking Carlos Alvarez's record. Now, I consider Carlos Alvarez to have the record. Carlos Alvarez caught 88 passes in 1969. Back then, they didn't count bowl games. For some reason, the NCAA decided to count bowl games, which is fine, but they didn't do it retroactively because the poor SIDs couldn't handle it. It bugs me that the SIDs go, oh, we don't want to have to go back and look. I will do it for Florida. I will give you all the updated stats. I will go back and look at every box score and do it. I love doing that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is I consider Chad Jackson also had 88 catches. He caught, I think, 7 in the bowl game. Carlos caught 4 in the bowl game. Carlos's don't count. Jackson's do. Carlos has a record. In fact, we'll get him on the show. Maybe we'll get him on in a couple of weeks and talk about that. We love having Carlos on the show. But he's on pace to have 91 if they get to a bowl game, which is not guaranteed right now. But that is, I think with this offense, the way they run this offense, a lot of short passes, bubble screens. And again, if you are able to be efficient on offense, you're going to get deep shots too. I think he can get it. I don't know if he will or not, but last year I think he had 33 catches already with 14 this year. So clearly, Ricky Pearsall doing a great job. Appreciate him. Number 3, things you don't need to worry about this week. And I know I'm going to get into this with Jeff Cardozo on the tailgate today and tomorrow and the next day. Florida winning 9 in a row at home against Tennessee is the most meaningless stat you can come up with. I hate it when everybody does these stats. Everybody does them, and they go, well, they won 6 in a row, or they've done this. No, it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. I know that some people think it does. I don't. Look, Florida won 31 games in a row or 30 games in a row against Kentucky. They won all these games in a row against Vanderbilt. They won all these games in a row against Tennessee before Tennessee knocked them off last year. It's about this year's team. It doesn't matter. The score of the last 9 home games, Florida versus Tennessee, 287 to 144. I mean, Florida's handled them. There's no doubt about it. Now, they've gotten some lucky breaks. The heave to cleave, to me, maybe the luckiest win in the history of Florida football was the one where Callaway scored the touchdown. Because if you remember, they drove right down the field. Butch Jones screwed up the time management. They still kicked the field goal and had a chance to win the game, and it just barely slid off by like a foot. So, I mean, it wasn't like Florida's dominated this series at home, but they won. But that's not what it's about. You know what it's about Saturday? It's about Florida playing good football and the crowd being a factor and the Gators doing the right things and not making a lot of dumb penalties and not doing, maybe breaking even on special teams. I'll take that at this point because you're not going to win special teams. They never win special teams. Break even. I'll take it. Believe me. I'm just frustrated with why special teams can't do anything great. And they didn't again. Again, you had a high snap, missed first extra point. Guy had to go back and jump on the ball. It would have been 2 points the other way. Not that it would matter, but make something happen on special teams. And I know people tell me, look, special teams isn't as important as it used to be because the punts are so high and so deep that guys usually don't return them very far, and kickoffs go in the end zone and everything. But they don't all. None of them all do. I mean, there are kickoff and punt returns in every game. There are coverages that you have to make. I thought they covered really well. Anyway, I don't want to do a whole thing on special teams. What I'm trying to say is the Tennessee streak of 9 in a row at home is meaningless. What's meaningful is that you're at home, but not because of what you've done in the past at home. It's meaningful because you're at home and that's where you should play your best football. And we saw that. I mentioned this last week. Utah, maybe I didn't. Utah's first play of the game against Florida, 70-yard touchdown, right? First play when they went on the road against Baylor, false start. No, it was actually delay of game. And I'm like, now you do that. Okay. So, but that's what it's different being on the road versus home. Leave it at that. Number 4, the SEC 3-6 now against Power 5 teams, with Texas beating obviously Saban. That was his first double-digit home loss, not in Alabama, since LSU when he lost to Zook. Zook, there it is. Zook, there it is. That game was one of my favorite games. I think it was 16-7 was the final, something like that, or 17-6, whatever it was. But they found a way to win that game. But I don't know. I feel like Alabama is in trouble. We'll see what Coach Spurrier says about that. I just saw a lot of mistakes, and I didn't see an elite quarterback. And they've had the greatest run on elite quarterbacks anybody could ever have. You know, when you go Jalen Hurts, Bryce Young, I'm blanking on who was Tua. I mean, it's just been an unbelievable run on quarterbacks. I don't think they have one right now, at least according to that game. Watching Jalen Monroe, but the other issue is the SEC being 3-6 right now. And look, you think that's not a big? Oh well, you know. Hey, at some point they're going to have to make a decision in that room on who's getting into the 4-team playoff. And you used to be able to go, well, we're in the SEC, so even though we lost a game, we should get in. Now you're going to go, well, you lost a game in that conference. That conference isn't that good this year. Now, you're going to have a chance to make up for it at the end of the year, but maybe not. Kentucky plays Louisville. Florida plays FSU. Gators, you may need to win to help somebody else's status. But anyway, we're way too early to be worrying about that kind of stuff. Finally, on the process service of Gainesville starting 5, Mel Tucker suspended at Michigan State. If you don't know the story, it is a sordid one. He had this woman who was a rape victim. She was raped by football players, so she's made her life's work really to go out and talk to people about what not to do and speak to all these different campuses, and one of them was Mississippi State, and Mel Tucker decided she was really attractive, I guess, and he was going to say, hey, if we weren't married, if I wasn't married, would you date me? And there's a lot more to the story, and we, again, don't know what's true, what's not true. I'm a big believer in waiting until it's over, until you make a decision, but it looks really bad. And my first thought, well, not my first thought, that's not fair to say. My first thought was that poor woman had to deal with this guy who was maybe thought he was, but again, I'm not gonna criticize somebody who I don't know the whole story yet. But he has been suspended. The first story came out that he was fired, and it turned out that wasn't true. He was suspended. But then I thought, you know what? Saban could walk away this year very easily. Mel Tucker, that Michigan State job is going to make very likely open. There could be an opening at Texas A&M because again, it's the same old thing with Jimbo there. Deion, just wait for it to come to you. But somebody's going to come to you. Now, again, I would rather live in Boulder than East Lansing. I've been to East Lansing. It ain't much. Would I rather live in Boulder than Tuscaloosa? Probably, but I'd rather be the coach at Tuscaloosa. Would I rather live in Boulder than College Station? Definitely, but I'd rather be the coach at College Station. So we'll see what happens there. But it just kind of went through my mind because I still don't believe, as great as Deion's doing, I still don't believe that if he keeps this going, he's going to be at Colorado in a year or two. So we'll see what happens there. But I do want to give credit to Deion. He's doing a great job. I was talking to my wife about this, but it's almost like Colorado is a new Georgetown. You know, Georgetown, when John Thompson was the coach and Patrick Ewing and everything, and it kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say the wrong thing here, but it kind of, and I don't want to say enabled, that's not the right word. It just kind of gave the African-American community something to root for. And we would always see these guys with Georgetown hats on go, wow, you live in California, why are you wearing a Georgetown hat? Well, they loved the fact there was a black coach that said what he he believed and walked out on games, and I was too. I loved John Thompson, and I think that's what Deion is. I mean, watching the game and listening to those guys talk about it, that they talked a lot about that. I don't want to get too much into it because I'll probably say the wrong thing, but good for Deion. I mean, I think I've kind of come around to seeing what a good coach he is. That, to me, more than anything. I didn't know if he was a good coach or not. You win games at Jackson State, that's one thing. I mean, a lot of guys can win at the FCS level, but then you get to the other one, and again, they beat a crappy team. Let's face it. Nebraska sucks. They're awful still. That's good. I like that Nebraska sucks. But we'll see where it goes from here. We're only, we're 2 weeks in. We're kind of 3 weeks in, but we're really 1 weekend. And this weekend is going to have a lot to do with it, a lot of different things. All right, let's take a break because we'll bring on the HBC and see what he's got to say about all this stuff we've been talking about, plus the Florida game against McNeese, plus our Campus USA play of the weekend. It involves the Gators. That's good for you. All right, and we will be back with more on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Attention all Gator fans, Meldon Law is giving away a chance to experience the Florida-Georgia game like never before. 2-night stay at the Hilton on the River, dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, 2 premium tickets to the game, and a football signed by Coach Billy Napier, and much more. Go to the Meldon Law Facebook page and look for the VIP experience for 2. Good luck and go Gators!
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
On Tuesday, the Quarterback Club welcomes former Gator player David Young as our speaker. David was a player under Meyer Muschamp era, and we're looking forward to hearing how that's developed him into a local businessman. Then the following week, we have Katie Turner, Assistant AD of Recruiting Strategy. This is her 2nd season with Billy Napier and the team. We look forward to hearing more insight from her.
Okay, and welcome in to another Dooley Noted podcast. Of course, this is our 2nd segment. We look forward to always having Coach Spurrier in here. Our podcast is brought to you by Titan MRI, and we're coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, and Meldon Law sponsors Coach Spurrier's segment. We'll make sure we give them credit for that because we appreciate him being on here every Monday. And Coach, the Gators needed a win after losing 4 in a row, and again, all those games, none of those games have been in Gainesville, but the home cooking seemed to help them, and they played a very efficient game.
Yeah, we played a very efficient game is a good way to say it. We didn't really try to throw all that much, a little bit here and there. So our percentages were very high. Now, if we can run the ball like that against Tennessee, we can beat them also. So hopefully we get the run game going also and then mix in some passes. And we may need to hit some big passes instead of, the little short ones, catch it and go run, those kind of things. But, yeah, this is the first big test of the season. And it's the biggest game of the year thus far because whoever wins it is in line to maybe win the East.
Yeah.
If you can go beat Georgia, you can win the East because usually Well, it used to be our game with those guys.
I know.
You had about like a 2-game lead if you could win this one. So anyway, yeah, I think we'll have a full house. 7 o'clock should be a loud night in the swamp.
Yeah, let me ask you this, though. I mean, I don't know how much you did this, but I almost get a feeling that Billy has set up Tennessee for some variations of what they have been doing. But how much did you do in a game like, say, when you're playing a McNeese? Do you run something and then go, hey, now they're going to look for that, and we can go back the other way?
You don't run any trick plays against McNeese.
Yeah.
Or specials. We used to call them specials, double pass or something like that. So you save those for the bigger games. But yeah, this week you don't hold anything back.
Right,
You got to
right.
give your whole game
playbook,
plan,
yep.
playbook. Empty it. Don't go to the locker room after the game and say, "Man, I wish I forgot to call that one or that one and that one." No, you got to get your specials
Right.
called in the game this week. You don't save anything.
That brings us to our Campus USA play of the weekend, which was and this again, Florida, because they ran the ball. We knew they would come out running the ball, and they rushed for over 300 yards, and so it sets up play action pass, right? And here it is. So this is what happens. Play action. He is so wide open. I could have thrown him that ball, Steve, I think.
But that's a good route, well run by the receivers, good throw, and we'll need more of that right there this coming week, certainly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. For plays of the week like that, to hit these big plays, you've got to set it up. It can't be just that they can drop back. You know that. I mean, you've been coaching a long time, so you know that you've got to have a balanced offense, and it's got to.
It's helpful.
Yeah, it's got to make things work, but. Obviously, the Florida-Tennessee game when you were at Florida was a huge deal. It didn't change when you went to South Carolina. In fact, I remember the night that I think it was your first game against Tennessee. Florida beat Georgia that day. And I drove home and listened to the game, your game, all the way home. And then we got home, and I was like, Spurrier is unbelievable, isn't he? Because you guys you ran that little hitch and go on a little short pass to I can't remember who the wide receiver was.
No, Sidney Rice.
Sidney Rice, who was a beast.
That was that 16-15 game.
Yeah,
right?
16-15.
Our guy kicked a field goal with actually about 4 minutes left. So we had to stop him and actually make a first down to put it away. But what was interesting, that was the night they retired Peyton Manning's number. So he was in the house, and they said with about a minute left, he got up and left the press box up there. But anyway, that was interesting that he happened to be there for that one.
So you did what Ron Zook did, which was Ron Zook destroyed Bobby Bowden's dedication when they beat them in FSU. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I mean, Florida-Tennessee was a bigger deal when you coached than it is now. And a lot of it's because one team or the other is struggling. Back then, neither team struggled. You guys were both unbelievable. I want to ask you about the 94 game, because that is one of my favorite Florida games. Florida-Tennessee, and you beat them 31-0. And Terry Dean was the quarterback. They couldn't do anything against your defense that year.
That 94 team was very good. We had that ugly tie at FSU. And then, Auburn beat us that year, but we won the SEC in 94. But, that was one of our better games up there, beating them 31-0. So, but like you said, Pat, in the 90s, 5 teams won more than anybody else. The 3 Florida teams, FSU, Miami, and us, and Tennessee and Nebraska.
Yeah.
We were the 5 winningest in the nation. So
you guys were always going head-to-head.
So, playing Tennessee and FSU and trying to win national championships, it's hard. And that's why FSU really, as good as they were always in the top 5, they only won 2, I think, during that period. And because Miami or us, they'd lose one or the other, it seems like. So, anyway, that's just the way it was. And they didn't have a playoff system back then. So, all those games were huge with FSU back in those days. But getting back to Tennessee, who wins this game is like a game and a half up to win the Eastern Division. Because Tennessee and us could both beat Georgia back then. We weren't worried about those Bulldogs. They weren't barking like they are today.
The goofer.
But they got a reason to bark out loud now. So, but they haven't really clobbered those two little teams they played thus far. So
they didn't score a lot.
I think everybody's beatable. I think everybody in the SEC is beatable. Obviously, Alabama and LSU have already lost one. So it's who plays the best, who comes to the ballpark, brings the most fire and energy, and plays the game better than the other guy.
What do you think about Nick Saban now? I mean, he's lost. He never lost to one of his assistants. Now he's lost 3 times to his assistants.
Well, the other teams are very good, and his team is not playing as sharp maybe as they used to play. But I still think that they will be there at the end. They haven't played a conference game yet.
Yeah.
I mean, they were lucky.
They don't have to. They just got to win out.
Yeah, they were lucky to beat Texas last year. It's a very close game.
18-17, I think.
And I do like Texas now. I think they've.
Yeah, they look.
They got a quarterback that's a leader now. The guy cut his mullet off.
He did.
Got clean cut hair. Reminds me of Danny Warfel and Tim Tebow now. And I think the players respect him a lot more. And now he can be the leader of the team there. So I think they've got a chance to go into the Final Four in the nation. But Alabama will be back. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they're playing somebody for the for the SEC championship.
Yeah, it's going to be a great crowd, obviously. And again, Florida has not lost. I'll give you a trivia question here. It's a good one too. Which coach averaged the most points against Tennessee during this 9-game winning streak at home? Now that would be. You got 4 coaches there. You got Meyer, Muschamp, McElwain, Mullen.
Average the most points?
Average the most points.
You'd guess Mullen.
Yep, and that's correct.
Is that right?
You got it right.
Good guess.
But nine straight wins. But I've told everybody, those games don't mean anything. The games that they won 2 years ago, the games they won 4 years, they don't mean anything. It's about being at home and going out and doing your job and playing well.
Yeah, the games that happened 2 and 4 years ago has no bearing on the one coming up Saturday. So, I'm looking forward to watching this one this week. This will tell us a lot about our team and Tennessee's team.
Yeah, and I don't think we know anything about this Florida team right now, to be honest with you. I mean, they had one game that was really penalty-ridden and everything. Okay, they made a lot of mistakes, and they had one game against an inferior team. Now we got to find out what kind of team they got. But I don't know how much NFL you watched this week. Did you watch?
Yeah, I watched a bunch yesterday. And
what would you do with Anthony Richardson?
Anthony Richardson, I watched him play against Jacksonville.
Yep.
So I was hoping Anthony would do real well, but I sort of pulled for the Jags since they're our closest Florida team. But Anthony, he seems to get hurt in a lot of games. It's not like they carry him off, but he got bonked on the head. I don't know if it knocked him out or what, but he had to come out of the game there at the end. But anyway, his teams, they were ahead of Jacksonville, and then something bad happened. Watching the game, I thought Jacksonville was still going to win because when Indianapolis got that fumble, everybody stood around and they took the ball away and scored with it. Yeah. The coach celebrated like there was 5 seconds left in the game. They're hugging that guy. They're all going crazy over there. I said, do they know there's like 8-9 minutes left or something in the game?
And Jaguars went right down the field.
They scored 2 touchdowns, I think, next 2 possessions, and went ahead and won the game. But, John Wooden, the UCLA basketball coach, who I admired probably more than any of them, he said, don't ever celebrate early. And don't celebrate a whole bunch until the game is over. And then you can tell the guys good game and all that. So he believed in small celebrations and also small dejections if it goes bad. Just keep playing the game. And the Jags did that really well. They played the whole game.
You know who was great at that was Bobby Cox, the Braves manager. He used to say, look, you got 162 games. Don't get too excited because you won a game.
That's right.
And don't get too depressed that you lost a game. We got 162 games. But it was certainly an interesting NFL, too. College football was interesting. I'm waiting for somebody to win a game that I want to win, but it seems like everybody loses. I was not thrilled with some of the results, but the SEC taking a lot of hits.
Well, I saw, I just
Texas A&M just couldn't stop Miami.
Yeah, Miami. Gosh, Miami scored, what, 48 or
48,
something?
48, yeah.
But the ACC right now against the mighty SEC is 4-1.
I know.
So sometimes we may brag a little too much. People always say, well, they don't look like an SEC team. Or maybe they ought to say they don't look like an ACC team. They got us 4-1 right now. So we need to pick up the pace if we want to try to brag about being the best.
I keep telling people, though, the one is still probably going to win the national championship, but who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think it may be more competitive, but anything else stand out to you this weekend?
Oh, it was neat to see Auburn. They won a game in California.
I finally went to bed with about 8 minutes ago. I can't stay up anymore.
And I still like Colorado.
Yeah.
And we learned they can play defense also. And of course, Nebraska, they are not an offensive juggernaut by any means.
Think about that, Steve. When you were the coach at Florida and you had to play Nebraska in '95 versus where Nebraska is now.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It's like not even in the same realm. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they're 0-2, Nebraska again, even with a new coach and so forth. But
well, they shouldn't have lost that first one. That was the one they blew, and that was their chance to get a win. But here's the thing that drove me crazy about watching that game, Steve, is when they would pressure Sanders, the quarterback, they would cause all kinds of problems. And then they had a turnover, and the first play they rushed 3. And I'm like, and again, touchdown, yeah. I just don't understand people that ever rush 3. I would never rush 3 if I was a defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Did you watch the LA Ram game? Who they beat? Seattle, yeah. And that's the first time I've ever seen interference on the last play of the half. Sort of a Hail Mary. He couldn't even reach the end zone.
Yeah.
But Tua threw it down there, and the guy shoved the guy a little bit. So they got interference there, and they kicked the field goal. That was a big play in the game.
There were a lot of
stupid plays.
Yeah, but again, it's not just that way with college. But in the NFL, I would think nobody should be overreacting after 1 week. You got 18 weeks of this. Don't get too, like, if you're a Giants fan, you're ready to jump off of the bridge.
Yeah,
after losing 40-0.
Yeah, they didn't look like they were going to win any this year the way they acted. But anyway, an early prediction.
Okay.
The Washington Huskies are a really good team. They beat Tulsa.
Michael Penix, really good quarterback.
But the whole team. I watched Washington play Tulsa. It was on the Pac-12 network. I didn't even know I got that. I gave it to my office.
I didn't either, but I've watched it too.
I was flipping around, found it. And, my son coaches at Tulsa.
Yep.
And they just were sort of out-athlete. But I watched that Washington team. I mean, they're fast and they're quick, and they rotate players in and out. And they actually dropped about 3 or 4 passes. They could have scored 55-60. But anyway, watch for the Washington Huskies this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more wide open than I think people thought coming in. We thought it was the same old teams, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. Now, I'm not saying that Ohio State and Georgia and some of these other teams aren't going to be good, but I think there are definitely some teams that have a shot at winning some games. And I will put Texas in there. I'll
put Texas in too. Like I said.
I can't discard Miami right now. I mean, they looked like a really good football team.
They sure did. They sure did. And this is the thing. Every year, you could have half of a new team. Yeah. I heard the Ole Miss player, they interviewed him after they beat Tulane. And he said, well, I'm just getting to know all my teammates because we're all new guys.
That's right.
He said half our team came in, this year. But I think they were there for spring practice and they were for preseason practice. And that is plenty of time. Yeah. These people say, well, wait till we know our plays. Bull crap. You can bring a team in. A new coach can win right away, like Prime's doing at Colorado. And I think game day is going to be out there.
They are.
In Colorado.
And the kickoff show with Urban is going to be out there, too.
So out there also. They're going to give Colorado their due. They've earned it. They deserve it. So that'll be fun watching the game show, pregame anyway.
Yeah. So Florida, Tennessee to you has always been special. Is it still special? But I mean, I know you were born in Miami, but you grew up in Tennessee, and
Well, they were all special. Heck, Florida, Georgia, Florida, Auburn. Auburn's always a big game until we quit playing them all of a sudden. But Tennessee was a big game since we were the two best in the East just about every year. In fact, we won 7 and they won 3 in a 10-year span there. Nobody else won one on the eastern side. So obviously it was a big game.
Yeah,
that's pretty big.
The West wasn't as good, well, except Alabama. And they were kind of up and down. So
that's true.
All right, Coach, we're going to let you go. We appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, we're going to be loud Saturday night, 7 o'clock. Should be a good one.
He's already wearing his blue shirt. We got a blue out.
Blue, is that what we got?
I think so, because they wear that crappy orange.
We can't wear orange.
All right, we will be back with a special guest on another Dooley Noted podcast, presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, Meldon Law, a sponsor of this legend right over here.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Gator fans, football season is here. What's better than seeing the Gators back on the field? Easy. Seeing amazing speakers and fellow Gator fans weekly at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Held every Tuesday night of a home game at the Best Western Gateway Grand. Enjoy happy hour, great food, valuable insights from yours truly and Andy Staples, plus notable speakers throughout the season. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or visit thequarterbackclub.org. Or better yet, just give me a call and I'll get you to the right people.
On Tuesday, the Quarterback Club welcomes former Gator player David Young as our speaker. David was a player under Meyer Muschamp era, and we're looking forward to hearing how that's developed him into a local businessman. Then the following week, we have Katie Turner, Assistant AD of Recruiting Strategy. This is her second season with Billy Napier and the team. We look forward to hearing more insight from her.
Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It's great to bring in a special guest today for Yes, Nowhere, maybe. Minde O'Sullivan, the wife of Kevin O'Sullivan, who obviously has spent a lot of time in Omaha lately and is back here now. We appreciate her. And she's got a special thing she wants to talk about, a special, it's really a cool thing that you're doing, obviously brought on by tragedy, but it is a great thing. The Rex and Brody
Foundation.
Yeah, what do you call it?
It's called the Rex and Brody Foundation.
Foundation, yes, exactly. Yep. I'm sorry, I screwed that up. But Rex and Brody Foundation, and you guys are having a huge event on the 29th of September.
Yes, so we have one fundraiser a year. This is our second year doing it. Last year we did it in the spring, and we moved it to the fall this year, and it's at Touchdown Terrace on September 29th, and it is a really, really good event. It's our one big fundraiser. We don't ask unless we get, individual donations throughout the year. So you can go to rexandbrody.com, and they do corporate sponsorships, table sponsorships, or individual ticket sales. And it has live music. It's catered by Blue Water Bay, which has amazing
Oh,
food.
can't go wrong
right?
there,
I
yeah.
just finished the menu this morning. A full bar. It has live entertainment, a silent auction, and a live auction. So it's a really fun event that we make money off of and put directly back into the sports industry and community.
Well, and that's the big thing that the money goes to, is to help kids go play baseball,
Right.
help kids go play other sports,
Yep.
and anything that's put it towards the kids and allowing them to play these competitive sports. I know when I was a kid, we didn't have travel ball,
No.
I mean, now
Right.
it's a big thing, and if you can't get involved in travel ball, you're probably not going to get a scholarship anywhere
No.
anymore. That's the way it works today.
It's changed a lot. And I think another thing that that we've focused on is that we are putting so much money into facility upgrades.
Right.
So we've done Diamond Sports Park. We just did all batting cages out there that just were finalized. So that's where all the public Alachua County schools play for softball and baseball. And then we did new turf for the batting cages of Newberry High School. We did a huge building with the help of Gator Ball and the Crawford family out at Jonesville Park, which will be 4 bays, which could be used for either 4 bullpens or 4
Right.
batting cages. And it's going to be lighted and fans, and it's something that our community needs. And then we have made a verbal donation to Buchholz High School because they're in the middle of revamping their field, and we will be a huge, huge donor in that.
Well, that's big.
So,
All that stuff's big, and it's very important.
in our first year.
Yeah, to keep these guys. Yeah, this is the second
Right.
annual.
Right.
By the way, you can never say first annual.
Okay.
Okay, because if you don't know if it's going to be annual.
Right.
Second annual, you can say.
We're
Yeah,
here.
you're good
We're
with
still
that.
Here. Yep.
So, but obviously, for the young boys that are not here anymore, it was tragic, and we all suffered. I think with you,
Right.
nobody as much as you
Right.
did, but we all suffered, and to see their names being carried on, I think
Right.
is huge in this thing. I had with my dad, my golf tournament for my dad.
I think that what I always go back to is that no mother ever predicts ever living without their children, and it happened so suddenly. And I don't know if I went into a fog or a numbness for a couple days, and then I just had a realization that I had to have a purpose because I had 2
Right.
choices. You either lay down and give up, or you fight in your inner self and go find a purpose. And so we started this foundation pretty much within the first week or 2 that they passed. And it's my life mission now to keep it going and to help kids, that can continue to play at the level that they played in all sports. Now we've sponsored a softball team. We've sponsored a girls basketball team. I think that I just want to keep giving as much as I can in honor and memory of them because they were such sports fanatics.
They were,
They
yeah.
never were on an iPad. I would beg them to watch a movie, and it would be...
Get on your phone.
Right. Why everyone else is on their phones? Why are you out playing basketball at midnight? And why are you in the garage hitting into a bow net at 2 a.m? Just be like. So I think that it's given me a purpose, and it helps me be surrounded by children again and the games that they loved, and it's really it gets me up every day.
Yeah, I understand how that can go. Our friend Jeff Cardozo, of course, with Gator
Right,
Ball, is a
right.
huge recipient of some of this stuff.
Right,
Yeah,
of
which is
course.
great, and I know that he cares terribly about it.
Right. Yep. Austin played on the team that we sponsored for a huge tournament last summer for a 15U tournament down at in Sanford, and so we have sponsored everyone from 8U softball to 15. 16-year-old baseball. We've done everything, and I just want to do more. But the only way I can do more is by, having these events and having sponsors come in and
Absolutely.
donate. So,
Well, let me ask you this, because I know that there are different packages that you can get, and
Right.
so I was looking them over the other night. They were pretty cool, and you have tables for 10
Yes.
and bourbon tasting.
Bourbon
which I'm all in
tasting.
favor of that. I will say
And
that.
champagne. You get champagne
Yes,
too. So the
well,
women get champagne and the men get bourbon.
I'm going to hide that from my wife, so she's not doesn't want to go there. But there's no doubt that this is going to be a big, huge event. Give people an idea of how they can be sponsors and what they can do to get involved.
So what you can do right now is you can go to the rexandbrody.com, and we also have an Instagram page, Rex and Brody Foundation, and a Facebook page. But all the information for the sponsorships and the donors are on rexandbrody.com. And there's a couple, you can click on just a general donation, or you can click on become a sponsor for the event. You can buy a single ticket. So there's a lot of different packages. We accept Venmo, Tidely, which is what it goes through if you just press donate, or you can mail a check in. So there's a lot of different options, and we've tried really hard to make it accommodating to everyone. So
I'm a mail your check in kind of guy. Yeah, I'm still in the paper industry. I'm like Dufflin. No, I screwed up the name. What is it called? Duffler.
Dunder Mifflin?
Yes, yes.
All of a sudden, I could the name. I watched The Office this morning, and I
Right.
couldn't think of Dunder Mifflin. But so yeah, I'm a write a check kind of guy.
Right,
But
okay.
we'll send you a check.
Yeah,
Let me
thank you so
promise you
much.
that.
But it's just, and what we sponsored a team that went to Omaha, a 13U team, and we were in Omaha, so I got to go watch them.
Oh yeah.
So we're kind of branching out, trying to help as many people as possible. I mean, I tell, Sully every morning, like I feel like I'm like a hamster on a wheel. Like I never feel like I'm doing enough.
Right.
And people have to stop me and say, like, look at how much we've done in, 2 years. So
I get that feeling. I just running that golf tournament that I do. You feel like you're always got more to do,
Right.
and then at the end,
Right.
sometimes you stop and go, man, we raise a lot of money for them.
Right.
So that is
Right.
good, and that is a
Right.
cool thing that you're doing, and we appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we sponsored GHS and got them new their baseball team new jerseys. Yeah.
See, that's
It's a lot.
great stuff.
I
So
know.
I appreciate it. Are you ready to play Yes, No, Where, or Maybe?
Sure.
It's sad because she's looking out there and she can see Coach Spurrier out there and he's rubbing his eyes, so he's ready to come in here.
Oh, I see him.
There he is.
He's
yeah.
like, for God's sakes, Mindy, hurry up.
He goes, hurry up, Mindy, get out of here.
Here we go. Okay.
So, yes, no, where, maybe.
No, yes, I have three choices. Yes, no, or
No
maybe.
way or
Oh,
maybe. No
okay.
way or maybe.
Okay.
Like, no way.
No
that can
way.
happen. But it is brought to you by Big Mill's Cheesesteak. Street dining done the right way. We appreciate Keith Miller over at Big Mill's Cheesesteak. So let's get to it. Number one, after last night, the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl.
No way.
What, you hate the Cowboys?
No, but we did a family thing last night of who we were like voting on who we were gonna go all the way, and Cowboys did not. We're not.
Okay.
We're not
Well, they won 40-0 last night.
I know.
And I know it's
that's
1
huge.
week.
That is huge.
Just
This
like
week
it was
won.
1 week when Florida lost to Utah.
Right.
It was one game.
Right.
Like if like when baseball loses a game,
Right.
it's not the end of the season.
Right. I don't. Okay. So ask me again in January.
Yes,
where I
that will be
stand.
interesting.
Okay.
All right, number two, Florida beats Tennessee in football this weekend.
Oh gosh. I'm a Gator, so I have to say yes.
I would hope you said yes.
Yes,
If you had said
of
no
course.
way, you probably would have been.
Yes, and I will be there with bells on, dressed in my not burnt orange, like my orange and blue, ready to go, cheering on.
Well, you got to wear. I think this is a blue out.
Oh, a blue out.
Because they were that crappy orange,
It's
that
the ugly,
creamsicle
yes.
orange.
No, it's ugly orange.
So
yeah.
we'll get you. Make sure you're in
No,
blue.
I have tons of blue. I will wear all blue.
Finally, on Yes, Nowhere, maybe with Minde O'Sullivan, you're going to be back in Omaha in June of this year.
Of course, I have to say yes. Yes,
Well,
we're going to be there.
They'll be good enough.
Yes.
I mean, but you know how it is. I mean,
Right.
you stress out through
Oh
all
my
this
gosh,
stuff.
yes. Yep.
I was telling her earlier, my wife and daughter went to the finals, and they said they're going to take care of you guys and take you to
Right.
dinner and everything. But they were stressed out too. They were
Right.
losing their mind the whole time.
Right. Yes, but it was an incredible season that I mean, it was so
It was fun.
amazing to experience. And
The further you pull back from it, the more fun it was.
it was,
Yeah.
right. Because when you're in there in the moment, I mean, I think someone took a video of me in the Super Regionals when we finally got that last out and won. And I was like, I mean, I did the ugly cry because it was like, yay, we are finally doing it. And,
Yeah,
but yes, I say yes, we're going back.
Yes.
Of course.
Well, let me tell you what. If my wife and daughter, if you don't go, they want to go back with you. But if they'll go back anyway. They loved it. That was their first time there. I've been there 8 times. That was their first time.
We're
there.
going back.
Okay.
We're going back.
All right. Well, I tell you what we'll do. We'll come up. We appreciate Minde being here, and again, help
Thank
her
you for
out.
having me.
Yeah. I mean, again, the website.
Yes, rexandbrody.com.
Yep. So log on there if you want to
Instagram,
help. There's a lot of
Facebook.
great opportunities to do sponsorships, especially corporate sponsorships. So click on that. I think it's time for our Leonardo's Quick Picks. Okay, and it was great to have Minde in here, and now it is time for our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. And I don't know how many of you are even aware of this. I wasn't. I had to look it up. But Florida and FSU play in volleyball on Tuesday night. So, I mean, Florida State just beat Florida in soccer, but Florida's good in volleyball. I don't think FSU's ranked. Anyway, that is our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Pick. All you have to do is Florida or FSU. Now, I'm guessing most of you are going to say Florida. Florida's probably better. FSU's usually pretty good in volleyball too, though. But that's what we're throwing out there for our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. I need to get by there soon. I don't know, for some reason I have just not been going out much. It may have to do with 11 days of COVID or other things that are going on, staying busy. Football season just changes your life. It's different. It's so different from everything else. You're sitting there and you're going, it's great. Yeah, I like. Then all of a sudden you go, I got so much to do. It's just crazy. All right, let's get to our Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week. And you know who I made the Gator of the Week? Montrell Johnson. And here's why. Montrell Johnson caught 3 carries against Utah. He could have, and he may have, but I assume he didn't. He could have bitched. He could have complained. He could have said, I don't get the ball enough. I'm a star and everything. Instead, he just put his nose to the grindstone and got 15 carries in this game. And what did he get? 119 yards and 2 touchdowns. And that's good enough for him. And there's a lot of candidates, believe me. This time of year, we have a lot of candidates. But Montrell Johnson is our Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Weekend. And Adams Ribco to Go is where you need to be going to get their ribs. Oh, my gosh. It's incredible how good they are. Get those ribs, take them home. They're still hot by the time you get them home. Oh, it's unbelievable. Appreciate Adam so much. Let us get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. As we know, we got a lot of stuff to get to. Let me get to Hesser and Kipke 3 things, which is one of our most important things. It's a Gainesville law firm, of course, specializing in the areas. Let's try it again. Areas of workers' compensation and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, while Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. Don't believe me? Well, check out their 5-star Google reviews. Set an appointment at hklawfl.com, or better yet, give them a call, 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. I always love it when we have interaction between our sponsors, and they use each other. And that happened last week, so it's pretty cool. All right, number 1. We didn't medal in the World Cup in basketball. What the H is going on there? How do we not medal? At least get a bronze, but they lost. Come on, man. Now, again, we're not sending our best team over there. We're sending the team that is willing to play over there. Where was it? The Philippines? I think it was Philippines, yeah. So, I don't know. Believe me, I'm not bothered by it, but I thought it would be worth mentioning. Nev's number 1 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. Number 2, Joe Burrow, Coach Spurrier mentioned earlier, with a career low in passing, under 100 yards. That happened this weekend. Also, Anthony Richardson played pretty well this weekend. A touchdown and an interception. He did get hurt there at the end, and that was not good. A lot of quarterbacks under the gun. A lot of quarterbacks happy. Dallas quarterback's happy. Giants quarterback not happy. You know, it's just the first week. Don't forget that. Just like I always try to tell people with the first week of college football, the first week of the NFL is almost meaningless. Do you think I'm a Chiefs guy? Do you think I'm worried about the Chiefs because they lost their first game? No. Okay. Are you worried about the would you have been worried about the Jaguars if they had lost that game to the Colts? Well, a little bit, but not that much. You're okay. It's first week. Don't worry about it. And finally, number 3, I did want to mention volleyball on the Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Still unbeaten, still playing well. Don't forget Sunday they played number 1 team in the country. They're number 3 right now. That's going to be awesome. And I did want to mention that soccer did lose that game 1-0 to FSU yesterday, but they are 4-1-2 now. And I want to keep bringing up soccer and volleyball because we tend to get football centric here, but these are sports that matter to me. The soccer team got outshot 10-3. I think they did not have a shot with 3 minutes to go. So they're a very defensive team, not an offensive team. Anyway. So that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let us get to our Swamp Games of the Week. We were out there on Thursday. We had a blast at the Swamp restaurant doing our tailgate show. And we appreciate them being a sponsor as well of this. And don't forget, Saturdays, football, sangria. I can't think of anything better. Just go watch games and watch football. They had a great show for the Ben Shelton's match. We were out there for that. Or actually, we were out there the day before. So anyway, we appreciate the Swamp. Don't forget tonight, if you're listening to this on Monday, Buffalo at the Jets. Oh my God, Aaron Rodgers is going to play football. You know what else he's going to do? Play 16 more games at least. Maybe 17, maybe 18, who knows? Don't get too caught up in this game, but I will watch it. 8:20 on NBC is when the game is. Thursday night game, Minnesota at Philadelphia is 8:15 on the Prime Network, Prime Video. Again, not a fan of streaming. Probably won't watch much of that. May turn it over for a while. But I'm not getting kind of pulled the other way by what the college games are. Navy at Memphis, 7:30 on ESPN. BCC at Miami, 7:30 on the ACC network. How about no? I don't think either one of those is going to do it for me. But I will say this. I'll watch Navy at Memphis versus watching a game on streaming. So that's just me. Also tomorrow night, Yankees at the Red Sox. TBS, 7 o'clock, if you want to watch that game. I'm just trying to get to the playoffs as a Braves fan. That's all I want to do. Just get to the playoffs. We're going to win the division. We've already clinched the playoff spot. I want to clinch home field. We got a 6-game. I just want to get to the playoffs and see what happens. Just because you're the best team in baseball, which the Braves are, doesn't mean you can win it all. We've seen that a million times. Anyway, those are the Swamp Games of the Week. And, of course, on Thursday's show, we will give you the Swamp Games of the weekend. And we'll give you all the great games that are coming up. Pretty good weekend again. I don't know if it'll be as good as this last weekend. Although every one of my teams lost that I was rooting for. I don't know why that happened. But let's get, speaking of which, to our Gainesville Quarterback Club Great Picks, which we do every Monday and every Thursday. blanked out there for a minute. I'm going to give you my great picks for the weekend. I'm going to go ahead and give them to you right now. And I'm going to take Florida getting 7 against Tennessee. By the way, I'm 8-6 right now on the great picks. So I'm going to take Florida. I think 7's a lot of points. It was higher. It was like in the 10s, I think, at one point. It's kind of like the Utah game. I think the Swamp will make a difference. I did go 3-1 last week, by the way. LSU is giving 10 to Mississippi State. Did you hear the Mississippi State coach drop an F-bomb on the live? It was, I'm watching it. We're watching the game, and I'm like, whoa, go back. What did he say? Because you can see him go, whoa, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, I think LSU is going to kind of find itself this weekend against Mississippi State. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. But I'm taking LSU even giving up 10 points. I'm taking South Carolina against Georgia. You know why? They're getting 27 points. It came down from 28. I'm going to take South Carolina, but I would not be surprised if I lose that bet. And then Kansas State, Missouri, which is another big game. I'm taking. I think I'm going to take Missouri, giving up the 5.5. I mean, they get 5.5 at home, so I'm going to take Missouri on that game. So those are our great picks, and then on Thursday we'll give you some other games that we're picking as well. But those are the great picks for the weekend. Let's get to Pat Dooley Storytime. I think we've covered everything, right? Okay, let's get to Pat Dooley Storytime, and because today is the 22nd anniversary of 9/11, and again, East Lake Pediatrics bringing you Pat Dooley Storytime. I've been watching a lot of that coverage. You know, it's hard not to watch, and yet it's hard to watch. But I go back to that day, and I was on the air doing a radio show, and Jay Anderson, who was working with us at that station, I can't remember the name of it, came in and goes, a plane just hit the World Trade Center. And then he came back in and 20 minutes later and goes, we're off the air. We're going to national news. And I'm like, what? What is going on? I thought, like everybody, a prop plane had hit it or something like that. When we get home, we still had to, believe it or not, this is at, I guess, maybe 2 o'clock. I should have asked Coach Spurrier about this. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we had to go to a press conference for the Florida-Tennessee game. And I'm like, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. Rex Grossman was angry. And he wasn't angry because they weren't going to get to play the game. He wasn't angry because they had prepped, and they were ready to play. He was angry at the people who had done this. And he went off. I wish I could find that press conference again. Maybe somebody has it. Maybe somebody's got tape of it. But I just remember sitting there going, man, Rex is really mad. Again, we're all in a fog that day. I guess it would have been a Tuesday, right, when it happened? Yeah, Tuesday. Because Tuesdays when we used to do press conferences. And I used to remember being in a fog. And then the next day, the big story was, would the SEC play? And I had a connection, and I found out they weren't. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. I got it up on our website, sent the information to ESPN. They gave me credit. They gave the Gainesville Sun credit. Gainesville Sun reports the SEC will not play games. And I remember going, yeah. And I went, what are you doing, Pat? You're celebrating. There's nothing to celebrate here. This is the worst day in the history of America. Why are you celebrating? And so I calmed it down. And I said, all right, you got a story, but really, you're just doing your job. People did their jobs at a much higher level than you did this week. So those are the memories I have of 9/11. And the following week, getting on a plane was the weirdest thing because we had to go to Lexington. It was so weird. And I remember, I'll never forget this. We got on a plane. There were 3 players with us because they did not make the travel roster, so they were going home. And Lance Butler was one of them. I can't remember who the other 2 were. And I went, all right, we got this covered. These guys are going to help us out if something happens. I mean, that's the mentality you had at that point in life. But hey, it was a terrible, 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 terrible day for a lot of people in the world, and certainly for the people that passed away, all their families, watching all the stuff I've been watching. It's really hard. It's really, 22 years later, it doesn't soften the blow at all. Anyway, I hate to leave you on a negative note, but I just felt like it was important to mention 9/11 and that day, being there, listening to Rex Grossman going off on the terrorists. Something I don't know if hopefully I'll never hear again, from anybody, let alone, I'd love to have Rex Grossman on the podcast. Rex Grossman has kind of disappeared from UF. It's weird. But he's just kind of living his own life. But that's cool. Anyway, Rex, we're here if you want to come on the podcast. We'd love to have you. Zach, great job today. You had to deal with a lot of things. We had Coach Spurrier. We had Minde O'Sullivan in. We had a lot of... I'm always throwing these things at Zach. All right, we're going to do segment 3 first. Then we're going to do segment 4 last. And then we're going to do 2, 1, and 9. And then we'll get it done. But we did get it done. We got through another one. And we appreciate all of our great guests for coming on, especially Minde for showing up here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Coach Spurrier. We appreciate him. Appreciate Zach too. Until next time, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here.